New tonight, ABC57 is taking a deep dive into a cold case that's eluded police more than 2 decades now.
Marlys Harper, a young mother murdered inside her Elkhart home more than 20 years ago. No one has been arrested, and it's unknown if police even have a suspect.
However, Marlys' family believes they know who her killer is. Kizzy Harper is her cousin, Crispin Harper is her son, and Chuck Schultz, her stepdad, all revisiting this gruesome murder from 23 years ago, hoping to catch her killer and bring closure to this cold case.
In this 2-part investigation, ABC57's Kevin Warmhold shares their story, showing us why investigators have had so much trouble catching her killer.
It was just after midnight on September 10th, 1999. Crispin Harper was asleep on his couch. His mother had just put him to bed. Then, the sound of a single gunshot awoken Crispin. What he would discover would scar him for the rest of his life.
911, what is your emergency?
I come running through the house looking for her, and I'm like, okay, by the time I come downstairs and I come around the corner, she's already slumped up against the door, dead.
He told me that he had seen someone chase his mom through the house, and then he heard the shot, and he went and found her.
A 28-year-old mother shot dead inside of her own home.
Just beating on the door, and I woke up and she was like, Kizzy, she was like, Marlys is dead. So I seen the tape outside the house, and I just lost it.
Marlys Harper was born May 18, 1971. She lived in Elkhart and worked at a local body shop. She had 2 children, Anthony and Crispin, whom she loved dearly. Marlys' stepfather, Chuck Schultz, remembers her best qualities.
She was always laughing about stuff. Her kids were the most important thing to her. And she dated, she had boyfriends, but her kids were more important. She worked, she was a good cook, and she enjoyed going out with friends.
On the evening of September 9th, 1999, Marlys was home alone with Crispin. Her boyfriend at the time, Tommy Reese, told police he was out of town. Crispin was sleeping on the couch in the living room just under the front window when he woke up to a loud sound.
And then I just heard a big boom.
The big boom, a gunshot. He went into the kitchen looking for his mother.
As soon as I came around the corner, I seen her slumped up against the door, her back against the wall, like she must have answered the door, and then just fell and turned and fell up against the wall. Because when I come around the corner, I see her, I'm looking down at her, and she's just like slumped up against, that's the only door I can get out of. Right. So I'm like, damn, I gotta get out of here. I see all the blood, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. And I kind of like had to squeeze my way up out of there and get out. And I ran next door.
Crispin banged on his neighbor's door until someone answered. His neighbor, Todd Hauser, went over to the house with Crispin and found Marlys shot in the head, lying in a pool of her own blood.
Police from the city of Elkhart were dispatched to 668 West Lexington Avenue in the early morning of September 10th, 1999. At approximately 12:35 a.m., police arrived here, where they made a gruesome discovery. Once inside, they found Marlys' body lifeless. She was slouched over by the back door.
There was no hope of her recovering.
She was taken to Elkhart General Hospital, where she was pronounced dead later that morning. 5-year-old Crispin was taken to Elkhart City Police Station.
I was at home. I received a call from Elkhart Police Department. They asked me to come pick up Crispin, the youngest grandson, and they had him at the police station.
What did they tell you?
They said there was a problem with his mother, and I needed to come pick him up, and they would talk to me when I got there.
And when you arrived at the Elkhart police station, what happened?
They explained that someone had shot her.
Her son Crispin was interviewed by police. He told police that he had seen a tall man running through the house, but now he says that didn't happen.
I was like very anti-police, so I was like, when they were questioning me, I ended up lying.
So, what actually happened? According to Crispin, his mother had a very abusive and toxic relationship with her boyfriend at the time, Tommy Reese.
Tommy Reese, what do you remember about him?
Very abusive. They used to fight a lot. I hated him.
Is there any like specific event you remember specifically with him and your mother, in a dispute or a fight or anything?
The last one I very remember was he was like on the ground choking her.
But Reese was on his way to Memphis with a friend, and Elkhart City Police verified his alibi. There was no evidence at the crime scene connecting Tommy with the crime. Reese went even further to prove his innocence by taking a polygraph test. So, with Reese out of the picture, who killed Marlys? 23 years later, the question still isn't answered, and Chuck thinks it's because the investigation has lacked experienced investigators.
The first detective that handled the investigation was not forthcoming at all. I feel it was his investigation was inadequate.
The case was eventually reassigned to someone else.
Steve Rizzuto,
a veteran detective with a questionable record. Detective Rizzuto would later be accused of unethical practices like showing suggestive photo lineups. In one case, identifications led to the arrest of 2 men for a robbery, which they were later cleared of.
and he had told me there were several people of interest. One of them was deceased. The other one, Marlys had testified against in court.
It is unknown if these leads were ever followed up on. In 2001, Rizzuto resigned from the Elkhart City Police Department after he learned he was under internal investigation. So, can Marlys' testimony have given the motive to have her killed?
Tomorrow night in part 2 of this investigation, Kevin dives deeper into who Marlys identified and why her family believes the man may have killed her for it. That's tomorrow night on Night Team. At this moment, the case remains unsolved. So if you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. 574-288-STOP.